Hall of Famer Chris Carter. Like he is every day, this is Nick Wright. Happy Monday, everyone. How's everybody's weekend?
It's great. I was in Houston. A little anniversary, a little basketball.
Happy, a little belated anniversary. I saw some of your
much.
fine social media posts. You look like a very happy couple.
It was a good time back in a place we lived for a while and got to see the team that looks like the best basketball team in the world.
You guys look amazing today.
We are very well
Christine
coordinated.
and Danielle got us going today on a Monday.
And
Yeah.
Very good.
Cece, though, you're wearing a black suit. Why?
Oh, the funeral.
Oh, it's a funeral.
Yes.
You're in mourning
For whom?
The Cavs.
Oh, a funeral
The
for the
king and the
Cavs.
Cavs.
What else you wear a black suit for?
Well, that's I didn't know. I didn't know if it was a wake, a funeral, if we were
Or
just
a bar mitzvah.
bar mitzvah. Yeah.
Could
I
be.
do that. I'm available.
Oh, certified.
Yes.
For what?
You do bar-
For
yeah,
entertainment?
Bar
Absolutely.
mitzvahs, yes, marrieds and funerals.
Instead,
Today.
you've decided you're
We
wearing
throw
black
some
today
dirt.
for, we don't do that at bar mitzvahs, LeBron James. So game one of round one of the NBA playoffs
Let's
is
go.
in the books. Biggest takeaway, besides the fact that I was able to watch 300 uninterrupted hours of basketball this weekend, the takeaway, LeBron James. Cavs and Pacers, and despite a triple-double from LeBron, the Pacers blew the doors off of Cleveland, 98-80. Victor Oladipo with a game-high 32 points. It was LeBron's first loss in round one in almost 6 years. The Cavs' first round one loss in 8 years. And LeBron's first playoff opening loss ever. So, LeBron James, are you worried?
I've always stayed an even kill with the postseason. That's just, I'm down 0-1 in the first round. I'm 3-1, so I'm the last guy to ask about how you gonna feel the next couple of days.
It's a good answer, and he's right. CC, what do you think went wrong, really, for Cleveland yesterday?
Well, first, Cleveland didn't have a plan B. When their three-point shots were not going, they didn't have an answer. And, this is what we saw during the regular season. We saw a team that's not very, very athletic, a team that does not rebound the basketball well, a team that's not very good on the defensive end, and then also the injuries. I mean, are they healthy? Like, how healthy is Kyle Korver right now? How healthy is George Hill? How healthy is Rodney Hood? Because to me, what I saw for 4 quarters was what I had been seeing for, 40 games, 30 games? I could say 82 games, but the cast and characters, they changed a couple of times. But this was the Cleveland team that I saw during the season. This was the reason why I said, I'm not overreacting. I said Cleveland was not a championship team. You could see that in round number 1, losing at home, losing the home court advantage. So I'm not surprised. I'm just surprised that they didn't have a plan B. I watched the Boston game. Before the Cleveland game, in Boston, they were struggling offensively. They struggled but you can see Brad Stevens, he went to a couple sets to get them low post looks. When he wanted to get a bucket or at least get a good look to get them to the free throw line, I didn't see that from the Cavs. I didn't see a counterpoint to what the Pacers were doing. So I'm not surprised because this is what I saw for at least half the season.
What's surprising to me, most surprising, other than the loss, listen, LeBron hadn't lost a first-round game since 2013 to the Knicks when J.R. Smith was a Knick, and we were at the tail end or the beginning of President Obama's second term. It's been quite some time, right? So I was surprised they lost. The fashion in which they lost was extra surprising. If you told me the Cavs were going to lose to the Pacers, I would have thought, okay, they lose 125-118, they can't get any stops. Their defense was not good. Nothing the Cavs did yesterday was good. But the defense was fine. Defense was actually better than we'd seen it during the regular season. Their offense was...
You give up 33 points in the first quarter.
Correct. Then 65 the rest of the way. But the first quarter was a disaster on all ends. And the first quarter cost them the basketball game. But the defense, I can't say defense is why they lost. I think it's what Cece mentioned. Their offensive plan was clearly hit threes or have LeBron bail us out. And that's the part, that second part, because they will hit threes at some point. They're not going to shoot 24% from 3. They're not going to go 8 for 34 from 3 again. The concerning part, I'm going to talk about LeBron for a second. And I'm going to say some names. Victor Oladipo, James Harden, Paul George, Giannis, Anthony Davis. It's 5 guys, all of whom were better than LeBron this opening playoff weekend. For the Cavs to have any shot to do what I believed all year they're going to do, make the finals and be competitive in the finals, LeBron has to be so clearly the best or the worst, second best, depending on how Harden's doing, player in this postseason. Like, it's hard to criticize a guy who had a triple-double, but this was a C game from LeBron James when his team needed an A triple-plus game. And when, after the first quarter, CC, when they cut to 7 and the Pacers were wobbly, that was a moment where if LeBron could have taken over the game for a stretch right there, then all of a sudden you would have said they stole one. They got away with it again. Another huge deficit they overcame. But this team's gotten too comfortable being down enormous amounts of points early. The 17-point fourth quarter comeback against the Wizards emboldened them. And then the near 30-point comeback against the Sixers, I believe, made them feel like, okay, we can throttle on, off, forget regular season and postseason, within one game. And they tried to do that, and credit to the Pacers. The Pacers wouldn't let them finish it. And credit to Victor Oladipo, who was extraordinary yesterday.
You said that the Cavs came into this game and didn't have a plan B, and you said the plan was hit threes and then let LeBron bail us out. That's been their plan the whole season. They never had a plan B because plan A was always working. Try to hit threes, try to find a group of guys that can do it, and if all else fails, have LeBron bail us out. So I'm not sure I mean, what is plan B if plan A, which has worked this whole time, isn't working?
It's got to be for the role players to play better. You're going to get better productivity from Jeff Green, from Rodney Hood, and from George Hill. Like, those guys have to make a contribution. Also, when you went to this type of lineup, you went to it because it was younger. Like, they were able to get younger. So if you're going to play that lineup, you have to play with some type of pace. LeBron got the bucket only one time. You can say officially, unofficially, he had one dunk in the game. All right, so when you're seeing the Cavs and they're only playing a half-court set, it is not set up for them to make that kind of contribution that they need. But they're not going anywhere unless they have those other players make some contributions, make some shots, and get some stops defensively.
And LeBron's got to hit some jump shots. LeBron, I don't know why. I don't know if it was a lack of confidence in the jump shot. I don't know what was going on, but he hit 0 shots outside of the paint. Like, this was. If you remove the game against the Celtics last year, Game 4, when he got in the very early foul trouble, 4 first-half fouls, this was the worst. It's odd because he had 24-point triple-double. This was the worst playoff game LeBron's played in 3 years. Like, we don't see mediocre LeBron James playoff games. And the team wasn't ready. The plan B they could have had, Jenna, was get Kevin Love posted up a few times. Try to get Kevin Love a few easy baskets. He made 3 shots. They were all 3-pointers.
Yeah, it's hard to play in the post in the playoffs, as you could see. There was no one who could have a consistent post presence in all the NBA games. So let alone Kevin Love, who's an undersized 5. They tried to get Kevin Love started. I mean, he took 4 of the first 5 shots in the game. They tried to get him going offensively. He didn't. He couldn't make a bucket. So I don't think Kevin Love in the post is something they can depend on, given the physicality of NBA basketball in the playoffs.
Are you worried about this team heading into Game 2?
I've been worried about them all year.
I think Jenna means for this series. Are you worried about them for this series?
Well, this is the totality of it. I believe they will win this series, but they're going to lose a couple games. And the totality of it, and LeBron, how that will play out in the rest of the playoffs. So we should be concerned because we have seen this Cavs team play a lot like this during the regular season. And let's not forget about the bright lights of the playoffs. A lot of these guys don't have a whole bunch of playoff experience. So we were talking about, oh, what will they do in the playoffs? Well, the playoffs is here. And our first edition of it was not good.
Well, listen, I don't want to overreact because eventually LeBron was going to lose a round 1 game, right? The 21 straight was a record. Eventually, he was going to lose a first game to start a playoffs, which he had never done his entire career. And eventually, maybe one day, he might actually lose a first-round series in which he's an NBA record 12-0. So I don't want to overreact to this. But what I will say is the Cavs are now in a position they have not been in since Game 3 of last year's finals. A must-win game. You can't go down 0-2 at home. You can't go down 0-2 when you're the team with home court advantage, when you don't have a championship roster, a bunch of guys. You saw in there, you know who actually played well for a little bit? JR. Like, yeah. You saw Tristan, who's one of the few guys.
And provided some energy defensively.
Provided some energy. And that's the one other point I want to make on this, that the Cavs are going to realize the tough spot they're in, I believe, in the Eastern Conference Finals against Philly. They don't have a lineup that has athletic defenders and knockdown shooters. They are choosing either or. You want Korver out there for the shooting, you're sacrificing defensively. You want Jeff Green out there for his length defensively, you're sacrificing in the shooting. And we saw that. Jeff Green missed 2 open corner threes. One at the end of the third quarter that could have cut it to 5, and one during the run in the fourth quarter. They made that choice to have him in there. That's a sacrifice they're making.
I think Jeff Green's going to play better.
He has.
I think he will be dependable. But what I'm worried about is the injury. Rodney Hood, he's nicked up. George Hill, he went out of the game 8 minutes in the third quarter after a pick that he caught in the backcourt. His overall health. And Cal Korver's foot.
3 minutes.
Yeah, his foot. You could tell it was bothering him. That's why they couldn't go back to him. So those injuries is something that we should watch.
All right, so the Cavaliers dropped Game 1. Game 2 now slated for Wednesday night between the Cavs and the Pacers. Coming up, talk some football. Des Bryant and the Cowboys finally broke up. We discuss the fallout next on First Things First.
I'll get my black suit dry cleaned.